Okay, so I already have the 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour in the bowl. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I need 1 1/3 cups of warm water. There's a 1/3 cup. And the 1 cup. And then I need 1, look how nice the starter looks. I need a 1/2 cup of starter. We're just going to stir this all together. Okay, so got that all stirred together. Now I'm going to put the lid on this bowl, and I'm going to let it sit and relax for 30 minutes. Alexa, start a 30-minute timer.
Good evening, Susan. 30 minutes, starting now.
So while we're waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of the instructions and the items that we're going to do when we're ready to do the next. Okay, so we covered with the lid to allow rest for 30 minutes to hydrate the flour. And then we'll do stretch and folds. We'll grab one end of the dough and pull it, stretching it out as you pull it upwards. This may be difficult, and you may find a need to kind of balance the dough to get it to stretch. Place dough that is in your hands back into the center. Turn the bowl a quarter of a turn and complete another stretch and fold. We'll do that a total of 2 more times. So that's all considered 1 round. And then 30 minutes later, we'll complete another round of stretch and folds. Cover and allow the bowl to relax for another 30 minutes. And then number 3, we'll complete 1 more set of 3 folding stretches. And then we will cover with a damp towel, lid, or plastic wrap to let the bulk ferment in a warm spot until it has doubled in size. This could be anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, depending on the temperature of your kitchen, maturity of your starter, etc. Be careful not to over ferment it. Shape. Place the ball on a clean ball of dough on a clean work surface that has been lightly dusted with flour. Fold the dough into itself and roll up. Then place into a ball by gently spinning it towards you. I don't quite do it that way, but that's okay. Optional. Let the dough sit out for 15 to 20 minutes uncovered. This prevents the dough from sticking to the tea towel during the overnight raise. Turn over and shape. I do this by folding the two sides over to meet in the middle. Pinch together and then repeat on the other two sides. This creates surface tension, which helps give it more oven spring, a good rise. Transfer into a floured banneton or bowl with floured tea towel, typically floured with rice flour, but that's not necessary. You can use regular flour for that. And seam side up. 5. Cover with plastic and place in a plastic bag and tie the ends. Let the dough rest for 12 to 15 more hours in the refrigerator. You can also let the bread raise at room temperature for 3 to 4 hours. I like using the longer rise time in the refrigerator because it's easier to score and feels like the oven spring is better. Bake. You'll bake it in a Dutch oven at 500 degrees for an hour. Actually, you preheat your Dutch oven at 500 degrees for an hour. Remove dough from the fridge right before baking. Place dough on a piece of parchment paper. Dust with flour if desired and score with the lame or a razor blade. I like to do 2 large scores called an expansion score, then a cute design for the other score. Carefully transfer the piece of parchment paper with the dough onto the hot Dutch oven. Carefully not to burn yourself. I am going to use parchment paper and one of these, and also in my Dutch oven I have the insert to my Instapot, so the bottom of the bread doesn't get too dark. And then you'll place the lid on and place the Dutch oven into the hot oven and bake for 20 minutes. And then we'll remove the lid with oven mitts, of course, because you don't want to burn yourself. Return the oven down to 475 and then bake for an additional 15 to 25 minutes or until golden brown. So, that's what we're going to do today. It won't all be done today, of course, because I'm going to let it ferment overnight and raise. And then first thing in the morning, I will be coming back to do the rest of it. But I'll show you the folds when I do them. Okay, so the first 30-minute timer has went off. So I'm just going to just kind of pick this up. Shake it a little bit. And then we'll spin the ball. Okay, now we're going to let it sit for another 30 minutes. And I'll be back. Alright, so we're going to do our second set of pulls. And I'm going to actually wet my hands just a little bit this time to make it a little easier. One. Two. Three. Gonna put the lid on, and then we'll do another set of 3, and then we'll be done for the night. Alright, so we're gonna do our last round of stretches. I'm just going to go ahead and grab onto this, pull it up. 1, 2, 2. And 3. So now I'm going to cover it and leave it to rise for 6 to 12 hours or longer, depending on what it looks like in the morning, is if I'm going to go ahead and do what I need to do to it. And I'll be back tomorrow. Alright, so good morning. Now we are going to put rice flour into our banneton. I just put it in, just put it in and then just kind of spread it around. Make sure it gets nice and well floured. And put just a little bit more in. Try to get it all the way up the sides. Okay, so this is what the bread looks like after it has been in a warm spot for, well, overnight. I started it at like 7 o'clock and now it's 6:42. So now look at this big old bubble in the. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to place the dough on a lightly surfaced work area. I mean a lightly floured work area. So I'm just going to put, actually I'm going to use, I'll use regular flour for that. Just going to spread it out a little bit. Try not to get it all over me and everywhere else. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this bread out of here. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is shape the ball by pulling the sides together, like this. I'm going to go ahead and let it sit for 15 minutes to keep it from sticking so bad to the banneton, and then I'll be back. Alright, so it's been 15 minutes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over and shape. So we're going to turn it over. Put the flour a little bit more on. And we're just going to pull the sides into each other, like that. Do it this way. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull the bottoms into each other, like this. And it's got a really nice surface. So when we put it in the banneton, we want the rough side up. So the side that was on the bottom when I was folding, we want it up, because when we flip it out of the banneton, it'll be nice side up. Okay, so I gotta wash my hands. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will cover the banneton in plastic, and I'm just going to use a plastic bag. Actually, leave it. And I'm just going to put it in there. And just seal it. Then I'm going to let it long ferment in the refrigerator until I get home from work. And then I will go ahead and start my oven to 500 degrees. And then warm up my Dutch oven in it. And I'll show you how to do that. And I will see you after work. Alright, so I'm going to start warming up the oven and my Dutch oven. This is by Pampered Chef. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my rack for my Instapot in the very bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick this in the oven to preheat with the oven for an hour. And then I will be back to show you the rest. Alright, so now we are going to get our bread out of our banneton. So how I'm going to do that is, this is what it looks like now. After sitting all day, I'm just going to go ahead and tip it over onto my hand. And it came out just so smoothly. I'm going to try to move it just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to take my bread lame. I'm going to just cut a nice thick line down the center, and then it now looks like a kind of like a piece of wheat. See? Now I'm gonna get my very hot. Actually, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put this bread onto that circle. I'm just going to move it out of the way. And then I'm going to get that very hot pan out of the oven. So then I'm just going to put this inside the Dutch oven without burning yourself. I'm just going to put the lid back on it. And then we're going to cook it for 20 minutes at 500 degrees. And then we will, oh shit. And then we will turn it down to 475. $475 and take the lid off and cook it for 15 to 25 minutes until it's golden brown. I will be back. So one trick I wanted to show you, because this Benetton has flour stuck in it, I just tap it on the table. Or the sink. And then look, it's basically clean. I'm just going to put the cover back on it. And put it where it belongs for the next time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use these two handles to carefully remove the loaf of bread from I'm going to go ahead and put alright, I'm going to go ahead and just nicely slide that loaf of bread out. So that is what the loaf of bread looks like when it's done. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.